Hello, everyone. Today's session is about strategies for an effective PTM. A parents-teacher meeting is an integral part of our school system where we interact with our parents. And although it's not very frequent in most schools, but at least we are meeting the parents 3 to 4 times in a year, right? Otherwise, we keep interacting with our parents through SMS, through phone calls. Some of them are meeting, taking special appointment and meeting us. They have diary notes, applications, and so on. But what we are talking about is an organized way of conducting PTM where we invite the parents on a particular day. It could be with the reports or without reports, but how we interact with the parents. Because some parents expect a lot. Some parents will say, don't put pressure on my child. You know, we have all kinds of parents. So how to deal with the different kinds of parents? These are some strategies which I have actually collected this information from various teachers who conduct good PTMs. So it is an observation, and it is also from my personal experience that I'm going to share this strategies, and I hope it's going to be beneficial for many of you. So the first thing is that what is a PTM? It's actually an effective communication between parent, and that's the only way where we can communicate what the child is doing in the class, right? So I think we need to be very open and very frank, not being very bitter at the moment. Okay, the child may be very naughty in the class, but always start with some positive things, because see, as a parent also, for our children, we would like to hear something positive. So although everybody has a positive and negative, it's always good to start with positive points. So we can say that, okay, your child is disciplined, but these are the areas on which he can work upon and get better marks. Or he is very good in academics, but he needs to participate more in these activities, or he need to be more disciplined in class or get more interactive. So an open line communication is very, very important. And normally it shouldn't happen that the PTM is the first time you're interacting with the parents. So certain communication should always reach the parents. Like, for example, the child is not consistently submitting homework. So that has to be communicated to the parent beforehand. Not that one fine day, okay, I have cut marks because yeah, so not that I am cutting marks because the record, this marks were not submitted, or the practicals were not submitted, the records are not submitted. So all this should not be, bombarded. That information bombardment should not happen, because I have seen many parents, they're afraid of coming for PTM because they say that I'm not going for your PTM because your teacher is going to bombard me with your complaints. That is why I'm not coming. Or the mother will come and they say that, father is standing outside, he doesn't want to hear all the complaints about my son. So these are common things that is important, that you should always communicate to the parent beforehand through diary notes, through SMS, about the problems that are there. If there are small things, of course, that can be said in the PTM, but the major issues which are persisting, don't wait for 3 months, 4 months for an official PTM for communication of these things. And another thing is that we have to be active listeners. See, as teachers, we have the habit of going on talking, right? I think 90% of the time, if we keep quiet and allow the parent to talk to us, we don't have to do the talking. We have to do only 10% to allow them to talk. If we are good listeners, I think they'll be more or less satisfied that the teacher has was listening to our grievances, or teacher is supportive. These are the comments that you get after the PTM, that the teacher is very good. If you keep on bombarding them with information and complaints, then what happens is that the communication gap is not there. It's a one-way traffic. So it's important that when we communicate to the parents, we are active listeners too. We need to listen more than talk. And we need to set goals together. The child also should come, and then the goal should be, okay, right now, beta, you have got 50%. In the next, we will work for 75. So, and then what happens? There is a consensus between the teacher, the child, and the parent. So it's like a triangle. Unless this triangle is functioning properly, what happens is the marks will not come. So if the teacher wants and the parent is not supportive, then it will be very difficult. Or if the child is wanting, but there is no proper support from the parent and the teacher, it doesn't. So it's like a wheel. It's a triangle. And therefore, it is important that all the corners of all the vertices of this triangle are well oiled and well coordinated. So it's important that the teacher and the parent are connected often, and the communication is between them is very good. Of course, the online during COVID times, we went online, and then most of our phone numbers are now freely available. 3 years back, I think very few teachers used to share their personal phone numbers to their students or parents. Today, it's available because we have class WhatsApp groups, and during the digital time, most of them were, sending resource material and or videos through their personal mobiles. So this is what has changed. We are now available practically 24 into 7 for the students and the parents. Okay. So that's in a way good and in a way bad also, because, personal family life and other things we have to sacrifice. But at the same time, I think the demand is such that we need to be accessible to them more besides what is the 7:30 to 1:30 in the school or whatever the school timings are. So it's important that when they are reaching out to you, you respond back. It may be according to your time, because we cannot be, always active on the phone. But at the same time, a response will always be good. Not that, you are not responding and after 1 month they are coming on the PTM and then they say, sir or ma'am, we had sent you a message, but there was no response, right? So I think it's important that we create a bonding with our class. We have a class group where we keep on posting something. You're a subject group where we keep on posting something. There can be online discussion boards and the messaging apps that you are having your ERP systems in school. You can send SMS to the parents through that. So I think it's important that we don't wait for a particular day to communicate with the parent. The parents should always have an idea of who the teacher is. Or it should not be like I've seen some parents, but who's your maths teacher or who's your science teacher? They'll come and find out from the school. Or which section are you studying? Some parents are so ignorant about the section and the teachers that they come to school and inquire about all this, or they make wrong assumptions. They come to your class and say, sir, my child is studying with you, and when they might be in another section, you might have taught them last year. So this happens because of communication gap. They are not even aware of who the teacher is because you have not communicated with them over a period of time. So, of course, we cannot reach out to all individually. But what I'm saying is that to become more effective as a teacher, it's important that we communicate. Our presence should be felt on in any app that you're using, or SMS or diary note or whatever. They should know that you are following up the child, especially students who are not doing particular work, discipline issues, or students whom you feel can do better. Because see, most of the time the average kids don't have a problem, and the very good ones will always find out ways and means to do things. It's always the weak and below average and those with behavioral issues that are often neglected in the class. And by the time the parents have become aware or the teacher tells them, it may be too late. So it's important that we need to be proactive in this area. We need to build a positive relationship with the whole family. It's not that you have a good rapport with the child. The whole family is important in a school system. You see, a family is the first unit or basic unit of society, and unless the families are good, what happens, the child is some way or the other is affected. So the child may be from a separated family, or the child may be not staying with the parents, the child may be staying with grandparents, the child may not be having parents. So there are different challenges that we have to face in our classes. And when we come to know about the reality, our attitude changes. I know of a student who used to eat stale chapatis because there was no one to make chapatis. So the maid used to come in the morning and make the chapatis, and then the poor child had to eat that for 2 days because the maid used to come only alternate days. So Monday used to come, then Wednesday. So Monday and Tuesday, the child is having that chapati morning, afternoon and night, and then next day also carry over. You see, so there are challenges, and we sometimes wonder why the child is like this. So when we interact with the families, we realize that there are things beyond what is visible to the eye. So it's important that we build a trust and rapport with the guardians, with the parents, and encourage parental involvement always. The parents are very, very important in a child's education. Unless they get involved in the education process, how much ever effort the teacher is going to put in, the results are not going to be as per expectations. So it is important that you call the parents for events. We have annual days, we have recognition day. besides the PTM. Then there are other days in which they can come and meet you. You can invite them as a special guest depending on their areas of expertise. So they can become members of PTAs if you think that they can contribute to the growth of the school. Involve them in parent-teacher associations. There can be family day, grandparents day, parents workshops can be held where, like teachers workshop, where we call experts and there are sessions, parents workshops. So these are all areas in which can be done. It could be a cultural evening where parents are involved and the children perform. So this strengthens the connection. So once connections are strengthened, I think it's easier for any teacher to interact with the parents and their families, and automatically the results are going to improve, because one is the father, mother, and whoever is involved with the child is closely associated. The child also knows that, I can't go and tell lies in the at home that this is happening in school or this is not happening in school. They have to tell the truth, because they always know that they can verify with their teacher. So we always need to involve the parents. How are we going to involve the parents? One is through involving them in the activities of the school. And secondly, the learning objectives. What are you trying to teach them in school? What is the objective? That should be clearly defined, both to the child and to the parent. We need to provide resources. You will say, okay, do 10-year papers. Now, where is it available? Some parents are not aware. So you need to make an effort to download that PDF and send it in your class. Or you refer some book. Okay, this book has got the 10-year paper. So we need to support instead of just throwing the ball in their court and, expecting them to do everything. And we need to encourage the parents to follow up the children in terms of review and revision and practice testing. The child will be just sitting with the books for 2 hours. Parent may be thinking he or she is studying, but it is important that the parent keeps an active check. What are they doing on the computer? I've got many parents who come and say that, sir, in the school, they get so many assignments and they have to refer to the computer. And when we investigate, we realize they're actually minimizing all that and doing random stuff. So instead of 1 hour work, they are spending 4 hours in front of the computer, maybe playing games, maybe chatting with strangers. We never know. Today's kids are in a different world altogether. So it's important that parents keep a check on this. So what we cover in the class, what is the syllabus of the test that's going to come, all they should be clear. There should be clarity in whatever is being taught in the class. The objective, it should be very, very clear. And we should suggest to the parents. Some parents are very nice that way. They will say, sir, what can we do to improve our child's performance? Or what, give us some tips on what can be done. So we need to have meaningful discussions like that and suggest strategies to the parents, give them suggestions, how the child can improve, especially the academics part, and of course, building the life skills and the co-curricular activities. So it's very important to keep them in the loop. Collaboration with the community. Okay, so collaborating with the community is very important. So local resources, the NEP also says that identify the local resources, because every state, every particular place will have different local resources. So do not suggest things which are not available in your state, but you know that what is available to you. So do you have library, museums and all that near you? Why don't you involve the children in those type of learning experience? Field visit is one of the multiple assessment areas which is suggested by the CBSE boards. So we can take them to museums, we can take them to libraries, community centers, the factories. The learning becomes more practical that way. And we can establish community programs. Organizations are there which will provide these opportunities to the students and engage them in active partnership. And as I said, we can always invite guest speakers from different professions. It could be on career counseling, it could be on, the sharing of experiences. So they can share their experience and expertise with the students. The parents can share, the community members, the neighborhood people who are staying there. So what happens, they also feel involved with the school, and the teacher becomes a very, very integral part of this whole bonding system, where the teacher is at the center and all the stakeholders are around them. And, you are integrating this into a teaching learning experience. And ultimately, the benefit is going to go to whom? The benefit is going to go to the student. So this is a very, very important way in which the monotony of the classrooms can be changed and something interesting can be done. So we go to the next part, that is cultural and linguistic diversity. Very, very important in some states. In some states, especially in metropolitan cities, we have students coming from all parts of India. We may have people from Northeast, we may have from South India, we may have a lot of North Indians, West Indians, and so on. So what happens is that in this cultural ethnicity, there is, so if you are looking at a school in Kerala, maybe, 99% of them are students from Kerala, or Bengal, maybe 99% Bengali, only 1%. But here you are having a mixture culture. So when there is so much of diversity, it is important that we respect every culture and tradition. As teachers, we are supposed to maintain the decorum and dignity of, in terms of speech, in terms of what the instructions are. Nobody should get hurt in whatever way possible. So it's important that when we have linguistic diversity, we don't make fun of people, right? So different people may have a different accents. So a South Indian may have a South Indian accent, and North Indian may have a different, Bengali may have a different accent. So what we are doing in these classrooms is that we are accepting those differences. Of course, the pronunciation has to be correct, but the accent can be different. That's perfectly okay. So like we speak English, but we don't speak like the British or Americans, right? They have a different accent, but our pronunciation should be good. So it's important that when we are communicating, we are not disrupting this equality among all the cultures. And therefore, what happens? How do we promote this? We promote all this by providing functions or events where there is cultural unity. So cultural diversity is there, but unity is established through programs. So we can celebrate Holi, Diwali, Christmas, Eid, everything can be celebrated, and the student feels happy, and the parents also feel that the school is supporting all cultures. In many schools, we also have these orientation programs. I think that's a very, very good program, especially for new families or new parents of the school. Because, every school has different ethos. The vision, mission, and motto is different. And when the child is coming from one environment to the other, it requires time for them to adapt. And similarly, it's not only adaptation for the children, but it is also adaptation for the families, the parents, especially who are taking care of the children in terms of their education. The school policy should be very clear. The prospectus or the school diary should have basic details about the school, and all resources and support should be provided to the parents. Therefore, when your PTMs will become very, very smooth, because otherwise many parents have inquiries, and the inquiries are taking a lot of time, when actually we'll be the concrete stuff that we are supposed to talk goes into sideline, because inquiries from parents are there, depending on because of lack of communication from the school side or from your side. Then they keep on asking questions about, whether my child is selected for this, what kind of programs do you have. They're not aware. So the school website, the school magazine, the school newsletter, school blogs, the orientation programs are very good, modes by which we can create this learning environment in the school. It should be welcoming and inclusive for all the parents. And these events should be more or less every month, if not every month, at least once in 2 months, so that the parents constantly know what is happening in the school. And when they come for the PTMs, it becomes very effective, and they're not asking queries. It's basically they're sharing their experience of their children in home, or you sharing your experience of the child in school. So basically, that's how we can reduce the to what we want, actually, to reduce the timing, because we cannot spare 15-20 minutes for one parent in a PTM, because there are 40 students and we have to finish the PTM. And therefore, in some classes, you see the teachers going on talking, and there is a huge line outside and outside the classroom. So that becomes a little unnecessary if we were to circulate all this information earlier. Then you can also, inform them about financial assistance if they're from a poor background. What is the financial assistance that the school is giving? What or the school is supplying some material, or how they can apply into different EWS schemes or minority schemes. So all this need not be discussed on that particular day. This information can be done beforehand through various modes, as I have discussed. And Also, it is very important to prepare in advance. PTM is something, it's like a proper preparation needs to be done. So there are many teachers who are not even aware of the names of the children. And when the child is coming, oh, you are in my class, they will give that surprise look. And the parent is, asking us questions, although they may not verbally say. They may say that, oh, this teacher has been teaching them for 6 months and they don't even know my child's name or in which section or which class he is. So at least that should not be visible, that it should not be obvious that you don't even know the child. That means you have not interacted with the child in the past 6 months, right? So basic idea of the child you should know. Of course, the marks you can refer, but how is he behaving in class? Any particular incidents that you want to share? These are all personalized experiences which the parents will be happy to hear. So all the relevant information, as I said, the has to be prepared in advance. What is the marks that the child has scored? What are the activities he has done? What multiple assessment? How did he participate? What is the peer assessment? When we talk about the holistic development, what are the areas in which he participated? Was he helpful to you in the class during the class assembly? Did he prepare notice board? Or does he participate in sports or music or other activities of the school? So all this observation is important. A PTM cannot be where you are just a silent spectator and the parent is talking something and you say, okay, everything is okay and go back. So, the parent gets disappointed. They are coming to you because they want to hear a lot of things about the child, and especially positive things. There can be negative also, but at the same time, they want to hear a lot of positive stuff from you. And that can only come when you observe the child, when you build a rapport with the child. There are some teachers who will always give you negative. So avoid negatives, bring in more positive. And of course, every people, even as teachers, we have positive and negative, but we don't want to hear the negatives always. Sometimes we also want appreciation, right? So the appreciation is important. And at the same time, okay, these are the areas in which your child can improve. So that's how the support of the parents come. And your observation and feedback is very, very important. So this requires preparation. And in many schools, we have actually anecdotal records of every student, how they have performed through the months or through the year, and they maintain a file, which is very good because ultimately everything about the child is recorded there and the parent can be informed about that. The environment, of course, has to be very welcoming. Starting from the notice boards, I think the parent comes into your class, you greet them with a smile, that makes a difference. You're already in an angry mode and an attacking mode, then what happens? Parents are also defensive. They will also shout back at you. So it's important that we maintain our demeanor. Our personality should be pleasant. We should dress well and we should greet them, irrespective of who the parent is. Rich, poor, caste, creed, religion doesn't have any place in a teacher's life, right? For us, all parents are equal, whether they are, from a minister or they are from the clerk's child. So it's important that we give the same dignity and same respect to our parents, not that we change our tone depending on who the person is. So welcoming environment is very important. A private space should be there. That's very important. Not that you are telling something and the other parent is, striving hard to listen to what you're saying. So what you're saying to one parent should not be heard by the other parent. So you need that private space. So normally in our schools, what we do is that one parent comes inside, the others we arrange chairs and they sit outside. So depending on what is the arrangement in your school, you have to, give some private space to the person, because the parent also has a lot of stuff to share with you, which they don't want to share with other parents or other children. So it's important that the private space is to be given. And then only the honest communication takes place. Otherwise, what will happen? It will be just, uh, exchange, pleasantries may be exchanged and nothing concrete may come out. So if you want really the communication to happen, then it's important that private space is given. Unless we have the private space and a welcoming environment, the parents will not speak out. And the teachers will also take it for granted that, that we are not supposed to share certain things in front of others. So they will say only these are the marks, this is this, that's all, and finish. So when we want a personalized experience, it's important that the environment is conducive for that. And as I said over and over again, that always start on a positive note. It creates a big difference. I have seen that however, negative qualities the child may be having, pick out one positive quality and start with that. And I think then you say 10 negative, the parent doesn't mind, but start with always a positive note. You have to acknowledge the strength of the student. What is the student good at? What are his achievements? So this positive note is very important. And then what happens? The parent is little relaxed. You already start with negative comments, then the parent is also on the back foot. They will try to find out your mistake, that you didn't inform us or you don't check copies. So it becomes an argument. So to avoid this is a best strategy I have found out. Always start with positive comments. Okay, your child is good in this, and the parent will be so happy about it. Or the parent himself will or herself will say, okay, sir, you are saying this, but he is the opposite in the house. When you say something positive, then they may say, okay, he studies well in the class. If I suppose I may, sir, ye ghar mein to padhta hi nahi hai. He doesn't study at home. And then you get the opportunity to build on that. Because the parent himself or herself has given that comment that he doesn't study at home. So that's what happens normally. When we start with negative, that he doesn't study this, parent also gets angry, and they also become defensive. So this strategy always works, starting on a positive note. And becoming an active listener is very, very important, because there are so many things they want to tell you about their families, and you need to listen to that. And instead of talking all the time, it's important that we express our concern about what is happening in their lives. There may be some medical reason, there may be financial problem, there may be other reasons. Circumstances are so different in each family, and it's important that as teachers we be active listeners and maintain eye contact. Not that they're talking and you're taking a mobile and doing stuff, or you are reading something or going through the chronicle. That becomes a little rude process. So when they are speaking to us, be active listeners. Eye contact is very, very important. Show empathy, nod your head, and then you need to validate their perspective. Okay, don't find you don't argue when they are telling something about their family issues. We cannot say that, oh, this happens to everyone, or or offer solutions which is beyond their means. So it's important that we listen and then we validate their perspective and be empathetic. That's important. Be empathetic. If you have some good concrete stuff to share, do it. Otherwise, it's important that you just listen. I think that will already have a positive impact on their personality and lives. So it's important that we become active listeners. Very, very important. Step number 2. Then share very specific observations and feedback. It cannot be general. It cannot be a comment which is valid for 20 people. So if somebody is good, what is he good at? How does he participate? Some aspects which are very unique to the child has to be shared. So what are the core strengths? What are the areas in which the child is very good? And what are the areas in which he needs improvement? All this is very important. And you can be very, very honest in this. Let's not fool parents and say that, okay, he is very good. Then the complaint is over. No, some teachers I have seen, to avoid any issue, they will say he is very good. Finished. And then the parent is happy. The parent goes, and ultimately what happens? The child fails in the exam, and then they realize, oh my God, he was doing nothing. So let's be a little honest. So whenever we say that pleasantries or positive has to be exchanged, it doesn't mean the reality has to be hit. The reality has to be told to the parent that where the child stands. Is it A, B, C, D? It's very important that at the end of the PT. Otherwise, they will go home and relax. So it's important that we take stock of the situation. The positive is important, but at the same time, the reality has to be told to the parent very honestly, where you have to be very fair in your judgment. You cannot use different yardsticks for different people. So it's important that we give our honest review based on our observation in the classroom. And then we set goals together. Only when parents collaborate can things happen. So as I said, when we are having an honest review about the child, then only the parents will collaborate. Otherwise, the parent will relax, child will relax, you will also relax, because you said that everything is okay. So we need to set realistic goals. So it's not that the child is getting 40 and then you will say, okay, next time your target is 95. Give them a realistic goal. So if from 40, tell them, okay, next time you score 65. From 65, you tell them score 80. From 80 to you tell them. So they know that it is achievable. You put in a little more effort, and from 60, you can go to 80. That's what a realistic target. So not that the child already feel he is not even passing, and then the parent and the teacher is telling, better next time aapko 90% lana, you have to get 90%. That becomes unrealistic, because the child is only getting 40% at the moment and you are telling the child to get 90. The child will think that even if I put my entire 8 hours or 10 hours, I will not be able to get. The child is already discouraged. But imagine you are setting a target of 40 or a 40% child to 60. The child will try, and then you increase. So it's one step at a time, and then you reach the trophy. That is the realizing the maximum potential of the child. It's important that we set goals stepwise. So they should be measurable and time bound. So not that this target you are giving a 5-year plan. No. So you will say this is the periodic test one which happened in July. Now the next test will happen in September. So you have now in between these 2 months. And now in these 2 months, your target is to go from 40 to 60. So that becomes realistic. It becomes measurable and time bound. So it's important that these 3 things are kept in mind when goals are set. Realistic, time bound, and measurable. Then provide an action plan. Many times what happens is that you are telling them that you aim for 80 and 90, but you're not giving any concrete plans. What are the books they should refer? How should they approach the teachers? Which are the good websites, resource material where they can get, how to write answers, how to improve upon their answers. These are strategies and support which parents are looking for. So you have to recommend them that where should they go and learn things. You say there are lots of YouTube videos. Now, which videos you have to give them exactly what, because they'll also get lost. One thing leads to the other. They start with educational video and then they may be watching some other things undesirable. So what happens is you have to say that, okay, see, for physics, this is the site you have to go to. I have found this very interesting. Or maths, this is interesting, go to that. So you have to prepare a list of this and recommend. Books also you have to recommend. There are hundreds of books available in the market, but what do you find best for the student? As educators with so much experience, we know that what is good. We have gone through those questions. What is good for them, we know. So suggest that. So reading recommendation, educational websites, specific activities can be designed or recommended that this should be done so that your child becomes better. Address concerns and challenges. If there is a challenge in the behavior, refer them to a person who is trained, a counselor or a special educator, if you are unable to deal with these situations. It's important to get help. You should not have any shame in getting external help. Please take the help of experts if you are unable to deal with the problems of a certain child. Because there may be 1 or 2 challenging students in the class and you are unable to, don't offer them wrong advice. Okay, that everything is okay. We've seen those movies like Tare Zameen Par, where the 90% of the teachers are rude to the child. They are not able to understand what the child is going through. But there is one teacher, that art teacher, who understands, and then through art, the child comes out and blooms. So this is what happens. So it's important that we take help. If we are unable to cope up with any situation which is tough, always take help. So we need to discuss all this, our observations, very openly with the school management, with our counselors, with our special educators, and with the parents, so that collectively something good can be done about the concern or challenges, and the possible solutions can be thought about collectively, not individually. You cannot throw the ball in their court and say that, okay, now this is your problem, not mine. Communicate expectations. Very clearly, you have to communicate what is expected out of the parent and out of the child. What is the behavior that is expected in the class? I have seen many classrooms where the board is there, classroom rules. Okay, this is my class and these are the rules which you have to follow. So the child is very clear on what sir or ma'am wants. So when we set rules, it's important that they follow it. And what are the consequences of breaking the rules, that also you have to tell them. So parents also should be in that loop where the expectations of the students' performance has to be communicated to them, whether they, because it's not ignorance is bliss. Parents cannot say that I didn't know about it. You have to make sure the parents know about it. It's important that consistency of communication. There are parents who don't come for the PTM for many, many months together. At the end of the year also, they don't come. So then what happens? The child is lost totally because there is no communication. So PTMs are an integral part of child development. Unless the parent is coming for the PTM or the teacher is giving positive and the real challenges that the child has and positive reinforcements are not suggested, the child is not going to improve. It's going to be very difficult for the child in improving on his overall personality. So the parents have an important role. Teacher also has an important role. So the parent has to understand this and come for the PTM. If they are not coming, you find out the reason why that parent is not coming. Probably, your PTM is on a working day and the parent is working 6 days a week. Then we have to find ways and means. Can an online meeting be arranged? Can they come on an alternate day? Because it's important that the parents understand the importance of the PTM. Unless we tell them how important a PTM is, some of them may not come. Or mostly our parents are coming. But there may be a few parents who don't turn up. So the importance is not known to them. That is why they don't come. After the meeting is over, this is a very, very important thing, that follow-up. Every meeting has got a follow-up. So when we go back to class, what we have interacted with these parents have to be kept in mind. The parents have shared so many things. You have had made so many observations. Now what? So next 2 months, what is the plan that we are going to follow? That's important. So we are summarizing the main points that is discussed. And then we are writing probably in the chronicle or the teacher's diary. And then what is happening? We are following up on the mutually decided actions. Are we having some remedial classes? Will the child be given some extra support through resource material or videos? So when you discuss with the parents, there is something which you have promised and something which the parent has promised. So mutually, what happens is that follow-up plan has to be implemented. Not that the meeting is over and everything is forgotten. The follow-up plan has to be made for any effective plan to be put into action. Otherwise, the plan will remain on paper. Nothing is going to happen. So each parent-teacher meeting is a strong opportunity for you to build a strong partnership between teacher and parents. Your parents of, maybe the child you have taught 20 years back and you meet somewhere in the market, they'll be so happy, sir, ma'am, you taught a child 20 years back. And why is that? Why are they happy? And there may be some parents who quietly, see you and then ignore you and go away. Because they greet you because you made a positive impact on their lives. You contributed to the growth of the child. Child is happy seeing you. Parent is happy seeing you. That's sort of teacher we need to become. And if the parent is running away from you, oh, sir is coming or ma'am is coming, and they take an about turn or ignore you, that means we have failed in our jobs of providing that rapport or providing that positive reinforcement, which we should have done when they were students. And we probably lost that opportunity to build a good network with the parents. So it's important that we communicate with our parents so that they become our lifelong collaborators. So 10 years back, suppose there is a parent who is an IAS officer. Today, you can invite that parent and say, sir, please, can you guide our students on this? The parent will not refuse because you have contributed to his or her child. So this is important, that we build that network, we build that collaboration between the parents and the teachers. Always be respectful, irrespective of whatever. Sometimes some parents may raise their voice, they have high expectations, they may be frustrated, you never know, but we have to be calm. As experience, we learn it, but there are some young teachers probably who will react. And there are also seniors who will react, but it is better to not to react. We need to act, not react. Be respectful, non-judgment, be calm, listen to them, and then coolly, let's come into an amicable solution. That's important. It is not a war of words. It is actually, you tell them that we are here to serve your child. Our main focus is your child. And if you are ready to collaborate, then we are ready to collaborate. If you want to fight, then nothing is going to happen. So there is a way of coming out of it. So what happens normally is that there are preconceived notions about the teacher. The child may have said something, at home, and the parent believes it. The sir is very strict, ma'am doesn't listen to us, and she punishes us. Child may say so many things. But when you are meeting the parents, be open-minded, discuss with them, and be neutral in your observation with them. Then what happens? Then you grow in each other's respect. When you respect each other, then the parent will also cooperate and say, "Beta, now I am not going to listen to you. I met your teacher the other day. He's a very nice man, or she is a nice woman." That's what happens. The child now understands that I can no longer fool my parents because the reality is out. So it's important. This is very important, as rapport building is very, 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 very important for a teacher to build that rapport with the parent. Otherwise, then what will happen? Both the child and parent will start on the wrong foot. Then you will have a tough time dealing with it. So it's important that even if the child is going wrong, giving false information in home, when you are open-minded and friendly to the parents are going to support you back and say, "Beta, see, it's not like that. You have to listen to sir or ma'am. She is strict because of this reason. She wants you to become good." So we got a support. And when the child sees that there is a support system like that, then the child no longer tells lies. We need to maintain that professional demeanor throughout our conversation, and empathy is very, very important. If they're telling us any problem, let's not argue on that. Be empathetic listener. And we should use we shouldn't use any language which hurts, as I said, anybody. We should be empathetic, clear language, not very complicated stuff, no double meaning languages. Everything should be in simple language of whatever the medium of instruction of your school is. And there are many English medium schools, and the parents may not understand English, but you can speak in Hindi if possible, so that they understand. Otherwise, they are also apprehensive of speaking, because probably they don't know how to speak English, and they feel that if I speak, if it is grammatically wrong, what will sir or ma'am? So depending on the parent, change the language, use a multilingualism can be brought in. So it's important that we communicate with our parents very well, so that whatever we are telling, the parents understand. Otherwise, what we are saying will not be understood by the parent, then implementation will not happen. And personalize the discussion to the child, and let's not be general things can be communicated through, as I said, through websites and orientation program. But when we meet the child during the PTM, it's important that the discussion is very personalized, and the parent exactly comes to know what the child is lacking in or what the child is good in. The strength, weakness of the child should be very clearly told. Involve the student when appropriate. So in many schools, they insist, bring the child along during the PTM. That's also important. It depends on the age. So because when we are talking to the parents, if the child is present, what happens? There is clarity. Otherwise, what will happen when we speak to the parent will say something, child will say something, you are seeing something, there is miscommunication. So when all three are together, then valuable insights can be provided. There is a sense of ownership and responsibility for the learning, because whatever the child promises on that PTM day, or whatever the parent is saying, or whatever the teacher is promising, that is in front of three people: the parent, child, and teacher. They are making the action plan. And when the action plan is decided by these three people together, then normally it works. Otherwise, the child is not there, and there is a discussion between the parent and teacher that we are going to do this. Parent will say that, okay, your sir told like this. Then the child will come next day to the school and say, my parent said this, not what you communicated. He will tell his side of the story. So miscommunication gap. So it's important that the child is involved, if it is appropriate, depending on what you are talking about. If you find it's appropriate, always involve the child also to participate in the meeting, because that becomes a more valuable experience. And be mindful of the time. You can't keep other people waiting outside. Some people cannot take half an hour, and other people you cannot give 1 minute. I think an average timing should be set, where all parents should be given equal time, or depends. Some parents will take a few minutes extra, but it should not go too long, because other people also have to go to their offices. They also have time, so we need to respect time. So stick to some average timings, and important topics that you are bound to discuss. Important topics that you are discussing should be given more time, and don't go on asking about random stuff which is not related to the school. There are some, you may be personal friends with some parent, and then you go on asking about their relatives, this thing and all that. That's all unwanted. So let's be professional in that. And if somebody requires more time, then a follow-up meeting can be arranged on an alternate day, but not on that PTM day where there are 20 parents waiting outside your classroom to meet you, because they also need to be given that much time. So time has to be respected. and offer resources and support, whatever resource and support you need to provide them, please do that. If you are conducting workshops for the parents, please invite them. If you are having resources, videos and all that, please send them. So it's important that whatever, because some parents feel that if you are giving so much, then it's the onus becomes on the child. See, sir is doing or ma'am is doing this much for you. You are having so many sessions, so many classes, so many video lessons, so many resources, but the child is not doing. So if you are not providing the resources, it will say that, nothing is coming from the school side. So that needs to change. And always record and document the meeting. Recording doesn't mean that, physical recording, but take notes. If the parent is saying something, please note. I have seen some parents also who come with a diary and take notes of what I say. So it's you feel good about it. Same way, it will be, parents also feel good when we take notes. They are saying, okay, this is what is happening. You take the notes. Okay, I will note down the personal. The parent will say, please inform me. Then I'll ask, what's your number? They will give me the number. I'll inform you by WhatsApp. So they feel happy that, sir is noting down the name and number. So it's important that we create that rapport and collaborate with the parents so that our children become better. So we note down the concerns, the action steps, everything is recorded so that in the next PTM we show, okay, this was the action plan that we had mutually decided. This is what happened and this could not happen. So it becomes a reference for our future meeting. Otherwise, parent is coming second term, third time. Oh, you met me last time. I forgot about it because you don't have the past records. Sir, I met you last time. These were the things which we decided upon, and these are the things which got implemented. These couldn't be done. Let's work on the next step. So you have a reference point, and it helps accountability and again follow up for the next. Encourage questions. Okay, as I said, it should not be one-sided where you are giving information that you are going to have exam. This is the pattern, and you are explaining, and the parent is going. That's what. Encourage questions and dialogue. This will make the parents happy. Okay, sir has answered all my questions, or ma'am has answered all my questions. Sir is available all the time, and all clarification. You cannot say that I don't know the answer of all this. When the child's parent is coming to you for information, please give them information. Okay, so that is why one of the most important point was to prepare in advance. So whatever information has to be given has to be prepared, and you cannot say that you wait for 2 months, then I'll find out and all that. There may be some cases like that, but not all, right? So we need to create a safe, non-intimidating space for an open dialogue where they ask questions, you answer. You ask questions, they answer. And that's how the listening and responding will happen for a collaborative atmosphere. And when we have this proactive environment with the parents through emails, newsletter, or any online platform, as I said, then what happens for the next meeting, we are better prepared. And, they have this familiarity. Oh, I know, ma'am, I know, sir, and they will be happy to come and meet you. Otherwise, you are always an unknown person for every meeting, and that creates unnecessary tension. And as teachers, I think we need to reflect on the meeting after the PTM. It's not that it's over. We need to take time, reflect on that, and always, jot down what went well, what can I improve, and what are the follow-up actions that I'm going to take in the next 2 months before the next meeting, so that, maybe it could be strengthening of the communication strategies. Probably I could include more resource material. Probably before the meeting, what are the things I should do? After the meetings, what I should do? So this time of reflection is going to help you to become better and better over a period of years. And always remember that effective parent-teacher meetings are a shared responsibility, and it requires open and honest communication. If we are not honest and open in our communication, the system fails. The rapport building phase, there will be no collaboration. And suppose you are looking for some collaboration from the parents for any school events, and the class teacher is requesting, nobody will respond. So the response comes because of the class teacher or the subject teacher, how you have behaved with their children. And they feel more than happy to collaborate in the school events. So for the overall well-being of the student's educational journey, I think a very honest and open communication between the teacher and parent is required. So I hope I was able to share some effective strategies in building good parent-teacher relationships, and it will keep enhancing with your experience. When you note down, when you follow, I think you become better and better and better. Thank you.